Hello, good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here to bring a great topic to you. I'm also here to answer your immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer. I have a great topic for you. And I'm going to ask this question. As a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, do you think that you can just take your spouse here on a temporary visitor's visa? So if you've met an individual, you got married to them and they're currently in the other country and they don't have their visa to come here, do you think it's that easy? Many of us who are maybe children of immigrants, who were spouses of immigrants, or we have some experience with the immigration process, we understand that there is a complex process involved. But there are some cases where, for example, a legal permanent resident who maybe was here from they were very small, or a U.S. citizen who was born and raised here, who knows nothing about the immigration process, will assume that they can go to another country, they can get married, and their spouse can come back with them by virtue of being their spouse. I wish it was this simple. I wish that was the case, and surely, being married should give that kind of benefit, but unfortunately does not work that way. It is quite the process, and I'm going to explain that process to you today so you understand what it will take and that you're fully prepared for the process ahead. So congratulations if you've gotten married, and you are now ready to take that step of living together. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to petition for your spouse to come to the United States. And that means that petitioning process can take anywhere from 18 months to 24 months. It's called consular processing when they're outside of the United States. I have seen some examples and individuals who have told me that they were very devastated. They got married to their spouse, and they took their spouse to the embassy for them to get the pass to come to the U.S. as their spouse. And unfortunately, they were heartbroken to realize that they were denied. And at the time, they weren't even given the explanation as to why their spouse could not get the visa. And the reason is that if you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, and then you try to go and get a visitor's visa just by virtue of being their spouse, they're probably gonna laugh you out of the embassy, just because now they see that you've gotten married and you want to go to the US to live with your spouse. But if you can't bypass the permanent residence process, and you certainly can't say that you want a visa to join your spouse in the United States so that you can eventually live with them, that's not going to fly. And so the first aspect of this process is going to be submitting the I-130 petition. It's the petition for the immigrant relative. That petition, along with what's called the I-130A document form that's supposed to be completed by your spouse, your immigrant spouse. Now, that doesn't end there. You're newlyweds, but you still do have to show very strong, thorough evidence that you plan to spend your lives together. At the time that you got married, the requirement is at the time that you get married, you must show that you have an intention to live your lives together. And usually when spouses do have that intention, they get right to work to merge their lives. So they go ahead and they merge their finances. They buy property together. They make investment decisions together. And so that is going to be what you need to do as a married couple to show the evidence that you do intend to live your lives together. Hi there, Urana. That is fine. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Queen B, as always, it's nice to see you. Lee Garrick, it's $150 for up to an hour. Keep in mind, it is worth your time and money because you walk out knowing exactly what you qualify for, what your options are, and how to go about it. You also get the option of being my client and to get representation through your process. My priority date is in March 2014, and I have not received any updates. So it's gonna Ohaji, it's gonna depend on the processing times, who's sponsoring you, and so forth. So because who's sponsoring you, your status, your marital status. So it's I don't know, I wouldn't be able to tell you where to start. You can always schedule a consultation to talk about your case and then determine how to move forward from there. What if you have a child together and you're married for 3 years? And that's great evidence. So, Chevelle, having children to three, not only one, but three children, that's great evidence, of course. Nobody has children without that intention of spending your lives together. Hi, ma'am, can you say what year they're working on F3 category? I wouldn't be able to tell you the year, but I can tell you it's taking about 12 years. If you go to the National Visa Bulletin, you'll be able to see there. It's on the Department of State's website. You can go to Google and put in the Department of State National Visa Bulletin, and it should pull up the page and you'll be able to see the date for F3. So Miss Cindy, thanks for the follow. All right. So once you've submitted the petition, keep in mind that before you submit that petition, make sure that it has the evidence you need. A marriage certificate still isn't going to cut it. You're going to need to show evidence that I just talked about, financial evidence of that you're combing your finances, that you're making decisions together, that you're seeing each other on a regular basis, or you're at least seeing each other, that you're communicating on a regular basis. Your WhatsApp records, your photos together, your airline reservations, if you are on each other's leases, if you've bought property together, that can be great evidence, as well as affidavits from friends and family. Once you've submitted the petition, it's taking about a year for those to go through, to get approval, a year or more. Once it's approved, it then moves on to the National Visa Center. Once it's approved, does not mean that it's over, your journey is over, you're halfway through your journey. Once it gets to the National Visa Center, they are taking about another year to process your case. And that's if you are on time. If you're timely communicate, if you make sure that you are on top of your communication with the National Visa Center. And that's where it's important to make sure you're represented, because that's my job as the attorney, is to make sure I'm on top of communication between you, my clients, and the Embassy and National Visa Center. All right. I'm filing for my daughter. I have a request to expedite. I was approved, but I haven't got a date as yet. So Lily Garrick, yeah, so it's really comes down to the embassy. It's really on a case-by-case basis. And it's also almost a month. So also, if it's been expedited, it depends on where it's expedited. So it might be expedited at the USCIS, but you still have to follow through the National Visa Center. So how long for F1, sons and daughters over 21, no marriage, and children 6 to 7 years, National Visa Center. Okay, that's great, Rebecca. Thanks for the input. If I overstay in the US with a pending processing I-130, do I have to restart the processing? So, burnt burrito, you have a complex case, and you want to make sure that you get legal advice and representation, because there may be a waiver involved. So you want to make sure that you are on top of it. Now, let me reiterate here that when it gets to the National Visa Center, it's taking 3 months to a year. And right now, I would say expect up to a year. So the National Visa Center is taking that long. There are backlogs, and unfortunately, it's affecting mostly everyone right now. So, and I see here, Queen Bee says, waiting on an interview date for 8 months. Do you know why it's taking so long? Absolutely. Could be it's because of the backlog. So the National Visa Center, the embassy is taking a long time to get those interviews scheduled. So once your I-130 petition is approved, it gets to the National Visa Center, you have to go through all the paperwork and documentation to the satisfaction of the National Visa Center. And then once the National Visa Center says it's okay, the National Visa Center right now is taking 3 months just to say yay or nay on a document. So for instance, if you send in a document for their approval, they're not going to send right back the day after and say, approved, great, you are good to go. They will wait 3 months to send you and tell you, for example, if you upload a document that is not very clear, they're very strict on that. So if you upload a document it's not clear to them, they can't read it, it's not readable, it will take them 3 months to say, sorry, can you submit another document? This is not clear enough. And then it will take them another 3 months to say, oh, great, thanks for this document, we've accepted it. So keep in mind, at the National Visa Center, you have to be on your toes to make sure that you avoid delays like that, because it will lengthen that time from a year of to wait for the interview to even more. If that delay is because maybe you uploaded a document incorrectly. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, especially at the National Visa Center. All right, so my daughter is 4 years old. I overstayed to be with her. How do I go about that? So Tanisha, you'll definitely have to schedule an appointment. Unfortunately, having a US citizen child alone is not going to qualify you. Even if you've overstayed to be with your child, it's not going to qualify you for status alone. But we can sift through your facts and determine whether there are other ways that you could qualify for status here. So 6 to 7 years, if a citizen files a petition on behalf of their petition on their behalf, yes, 6 to 7 years. Safrana, so you said our priority date is October 2010. So you can always check the National Visa Bulletin to see where you fall and how long it's going to take. All right, so once everything is accepted by the National Visa Center, they're going to send it to the embassy and then put you in line for the interview. To get the interview, once again, it's taking 3 months to a year to get that interview. So you should be prepared for that. They do expedite requests, but it's on a case-by-case basis, and you really do have to make sure that you are persistent and you're on top of it to get it pushed through all the way to the interview. After they accepted my civil documents, how long does it take to get the interview? So I just answered Erica Garcia. If someone was brought to the US by a spouse, how long can that person file for citizenship? So if it's a US citizen spouse, it's 3 years. You have to have the green card for 3 years and be married to your citizen spouse for 3 years. If you did not maintain the marriage to the spouse for 3 years, then you're looking at 5 years. I got approved for 10 years green card. Congratulations, and we're still married, but we have different address. Can I apply for citizenship? So, and Kuti, I don't know what your situation is. I wouldn't be able to confirm whether you can do that. I would have to speak with you in a consultation to figure out what's going on in your case. Usually when you get the 10-year permanent residence, you're applying on your own merit, but I don't know if there's a concern that you have. When in doubt, schedule a consultation. You can go to the link in the profile to schedule the consultation, and then the scheduling coordinator can help you to get that set up. So make sure you go ahead and schedule that appointment. That's going to be it for me. One thing I do want to add though is that when you're at the National Visa Center, another very important aspect of it is putting together the affidavit of support. This is the evidence that your US citizen or resident spouse is going to show that they make enough income to support you as an immigrant. Now, if you don't make enough, you can also get someone to step in for you. It has been more than a year since the NVC contacts us, still waiting for a visa appointment. Once again, here's another example that it is taking a very long time. EKT, unfortunately, that is just something that's happening. You should check on your case, make sure everything is okay. And then you can seek further advice or representation should you need it. But I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how long you have or what's going on. So can you submit the I-130 and I-485 together sometimes, but in your case, Cheval, you need legal advice. Because if you're trying to decide whether you can do it together or apart, at that point, you need to make sure that you understand the process. First, you need to determine whether you even qualify for the I-485, which is the adjustment of status. That's going to allow you to stay here in the US. So if you're in doubt at this point, that means you need advice and representation. Call, schedule an appointment. This is your future. Make sure that you invest accordingly. Make sure you get the right help to get you through, because this is a decision. It's a very basic decision. So if you don't know which one to do, that means you need legal advice. All right. Have a good evening. I'm looking forward to speaking with you in a consultation or seeing you again on live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. You can always look out for me at that time. So 4 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube or on TikTok. I will be here to bring a topic and or to answer your questions. Your questions can be anything that's immigration related, not necessarily about the topic that I'm talking about. So come be ready with your questions and I will answer and put those questions in place so I can get to answering them ASAP as soon as you get on. So I have one more here. I got married in the state, but came back home before filing for any paperwork. So Rayon, get legal advice because I don't know what your situation is. After submitting requests for evidence before date, how long does it take for them to reply? I would want to know what kind of request for evidence it is, because depending on the type, you may not get a response. If it was before the interview, you might just get your interview date. If it's after the interview, then it could be up to, it could be months. So Hisham, if you're having doubts, schedule an appointment. Have a great evening, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.